Well, after 16 years at the helm of the German government, Chancellor Angela Merkel is stepping down. Germans go to the polls on Sunday to elect a new government. The void left by the departure of one of the world's longest-serving leaders will be difficult to fill. Mobin Nasir reports on the legacy of a chancellor Germans call mum.
Angela Merkel was just 45 years old when she was elected as the leader of Germany's Christian Democratic Union, or CDU, in 2000. She had risen to prominence as several more senior party members were mired in controversy over a campaign funding scandal.
All those men in the West German CDU could not really imagine that this woman from the East would occupy leading positions like party leader and chancellor. But of course, she always benefited greatly from being underestimated.
5 years later, she became chancellor and held onto the post through 3 more elections. Once in office, she emphasized the need for greater cooperation within the European Union. But the global financial crisis of 2008 left some economies, like Spain and Greece, on the verge of bankruptcy. Many of their leaders accused richer EU members like Germany of increasing their hardships through demands to cut spending. Despite the pressure, Merkel stuck to her demands of austerity.
We expect Greece to meet its targets.
In return, she negotiated a $230 billion bailout to support the bloc's weaker economies. A few years later, she was instrumental in reaching a deal with Turkey to stem the flow of refugees to the EU. And again, when the coronavirus pandemic hit, Merkel worked with other leaders to provide $2 trillion in support for vulnerable people and businesses.
I wouldn't say that she has always done the right thing, but she has succeeded through her coolness in calming spirits, in preventing a major collapse, and also in maintaining the cohesion of Europeans. This is her great historical merit.
But Merkel's pragmatism has come at a price. The auto sector, which is the backbone of Germany's economy, is falling behind its peers in the race to develop electric vehicles. On the political front, right-wing nationalists are on the rise, just as Merkel prepares to hang up her hat.
I will not be a candidate for the presidency of the CDU, and this 4th term is my last as Chancellor of Germany.
The challenges of reinvigorating the economy and narrowing the political divide will await Germany's next Chancellor. Mobin Nasir, TRT World.
Well, for more on this, Carsten Brzeski joins us now from Frankfurt. He's Global Head of Macro Research at ING. Great to have you back on the program, Carsten. So after 16 years, Germany says goodbye to Chancellor Angela Merkel. We know that over those years, she's been a fiscal conservative. Can you tell us what sort of economic legacy she leaves behind?
Well, I think it's twofold. You saw already quite some elements in the report right now. I think her biggest strength has always been crisis management, and this has also been part of the economic policies because Merkel really helped Germany getting through the financial crisis, getting through the Greek and Euro crisis, getting through the refugee crisis, and also now getting through the pandemic extremely well. So this clearly is on the positive side of her economic legacy. On the more negative side, however, we have hardly seen any new economic reforms. So the last really significant economic reforms date back to her predecessor, Gerhard Schröder. And what we also saw is that the downside to fiscal austerity and fiscal conservatism means that the German economy has seen far too little investment over the last 16 years, which has led to a situation in which Germany now stands at the eve of enormous economic challenges. Think of digitalization, infrastructure, education, climate change. So all these elements or these topics really ask for an enormous investment program by the next government.
Yes, and that lack of investment has been criticised by the EU several times. We know Germany has one of the world's largest surpluses, around 7% of GDP, even surpassing China's at one point back in 2016. The EU argues that, as you pointed to, Germany should be spending more of that money that it's managed to save. What should Germany be spending that money on? And do you think we'll see a change to that attitude in the future?
Well, spending does not mean consuming. I think that has to be really corrected. So what the government or the economy as a whole should really spend the money on would be investment in really catching up on digitalization, because there Germany has run far behind. Germany has really lost international competitiveness over the last couple of years. Germany needs to invest in the infrastructure. Germany needs to invest also in the fight against climate change, as so many other developed economies have to. I think the positive part is that listening to these debates in the election campaign, all parties that stand a chance to join the next government are clearly in favor of more investment. So we will definitely see more investment, more fiscal stimulus coming out of Germany. The only thing that I'm a bit afraid of is that it will mainly be for the sake and for the benefit of the German economy. And when you look and listen to what the parties have to say about Europe and further integration of the monetary union, there I think we will once again, as under Angela Merkel, not see Germany in the driver's seat of further reforms and further integration, but rather more being reactive to what other countries will try to push forward.
We also know that the golden age for German GDP growth was in the 1950s as the country was rebuilding after the Second World War. But we still know that Germany is in a very strong financial and fiscal position. But do you expect to see growth moderating over the next coming years? Are we likely to see any bursts of growth ahead?
Now, when you look back at pre-pandemic, Germany was already at the end of a very long cycle. Some even call this the German Wirtschaftswunder, economic miracle 2.0. But we were at the end of this, and we knew that there had to be some changes in the manufacturing sector. We needed more investment to safeguard the strong economic position of Germany. So now really the next government will be key. The decisions of the next government will be key. If they do the right things, Germany will again rise again, also will join really the top group of developed economic high-performing economies. If they do the wrong things, if they just continue with the policies we saw over the last 16 years, I'm a bit afraid that Germany will lose further grounds to the really leading economies in the global economy right now.
Okay, in the meantime, all eyes will be on those elections. Carsten Brzeski from ING, a pleasure as always. Thank you for that.